Oh, well. Okay, well, it's 3 after, so I think we'll get things started. So first of all, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jenna Nilo. I am the Director of Marketing and Outreach for Illinois Digital Educators Alliance. I would like to thank Lauren from Everfi for joining us today. Before I pass things over to Lauren, though, I just wanted to go over a few odds and ends housekeeping items. So first of all, we are recording this. So I will be sending everybody a copy of the recording, probably first thing tomorrow after we do all the processing. It will include, obviously, the webinar, what you're viewing. It will include the chat file, so anything that we put into the chat file and link, I'll make sure all the links are in there and then get that out to you. And then some resources that Lauren has provided, as well as Lauren's slide deck from today. So all that will be in there. You will get copies of all of that in the recording after the fact. If you don't mind, please keep yourself muted and your video off so that Lauren's beautiful face gets the spotlight today. I'm going to do the same to myself as soon as I'm done talking. So just do me a favor and keep yourself muted and your video off. We do, however, welcome interaction. And so please use the chat window for that. I will help monitor the chat window for Lauren and interrupt her when appropriate today with any questions that you may have. If there's things that I can answer in the chat, obviously I'll do that, but otherwise I will mention them. I'll interrupt Lauren with those and make sure that she gets those answers to you today as well. We'll also leave a little time at the end, so if you are holding back questions, we'll get those in at the end as well. If you're looking for PDHs today, we will be offering PDHs. I will put a link in to the chat window at the end of the session today, and we'll get those out to you so that you get credit for your hour here today. And so without further ado, Lauren, I'd like to welcome you. Thanks so much for joining us today. And I'm going to turn things over to you so you can introduce yourself and introduce this awesome program, Everfi. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much. And Jenna, if they need to access the chat, that's just the toolbar, and they click more and hit chat, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. Unless they see their toolbar across the bottom, and then they'll see chat there too. Some people also have reactions, so I think it depends on what screen view you're in, what you're seeing. So, okay.
Great. Yeah. Well,
awesome.
Thank you everyone
Thanks.
so much for joining. Thank you, Jenna, for getting us started here. I'm going to try and keep the chat open as well, but can't always multitask between everything. So thank you for joining us for navigating school closures with social and emotional learning. As a bell ringer, this is really helpful to me as I'm kind of chatting through the resources that we have. Could you just chat into the box, what grade level do you work with? And it obviously can be multiple grade levels, middle school, K through 4. Looks like mostly younger. All right. K through 5 PE, gotcha. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. That's really helpful information for me. Excuse me. I can focus a little bit more on our elementary and middle school programs, but I definitely will mention our high school as well. So my name is Lauren Pingul. I'm based out of Romeoville, which is near like Joliet, Aurora, Naperville area. A little about me, I'm a mother of 2.5-year-old twin girls. They are here, and I'm the only one with them today, as probably some of you are experiencing the same thing. My husband's an essential worker now. He is out at the office every day, and I'm here with the girls all day, which is why I'm here in my kitchen instead of in my office, just to keep an ear on them. So apologies if you hear any interruptions, but I'm guessing we're all kind of in the same boat right now. So I'm a former teacher, I'm former assistant principal. I taught down in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm now a implementation manager for Everfi. So I help teachers across Illinois get access to the free resources that I'm going to talk about today. So I'm really excited to be hosting this webinar and to be partnering with an organization like IDEA. If you haven't already, be sure to check out all of the other virtual learning opportunities that they offer during this time. And I think Jen is going to mention them as well at the end. All right, so today's agenda, let me first say that this is a unique PD in that you're going to leave here with access to concrete resources you can use for remote learning with your students as soon as tomorrow. It's going to be very teacher focused, but if you're a principal or if you're working as a social worker or a counselor, anything like that, we have resources that you can pass along as well, or you can use yourself depending on how it works for you. We don't have any requirements around how you use our resources. We just want to make them available to you. So in the next 25 minutes, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background of who we are. I'll share the resources that we have available, and then I'm going to give you a quick tour of just the teacher dashboard so you can know how to use. And I'm also going to be giving you a bunch of information about remote learning best practices and how to support social emotional learning in this very unique time with your students. And then we'll leave some time for questions at the end. So chat them in if you have them, or wait till the end to ask. Totally up to you, but feel free to interrupt me. All right, before we move forward, I want to give you all a quick overview of who we are at Everfi and how we support whole child education across North America. So Everfi offers free online lessons on what we call critical skills. So things that a student may or may not get in a traditional math class, science class, core content class, but they'll need to be successful in their life. So things like prescription drug abuse prevention, alcohol abuse prevention, STEM education, career exploration, financial literacy, and what we're going to talk about today, social emotional learning. We are able to bring these to you at no cost, thanks to our sponsors. So in Illinois, we have a bunch of different really amazing organizations that have sponsored schools. So the Blackhawks, the United Way, LinkedIn, the Mass Mutual Foundation, the Chicago Bears, all kinds of different regional or national partners that have sponsored, basically funded your schools to use these programs for free. So there is no cost whatsoever to anything I am going to talk about today. That includes offline materials, online materials, training, support, student licenses. Everything is covered, everything is free. I like to say that about 5 times at the beginning of my my trainings because I feel like that has to sink in. This is a true free lunch that you will not have to have sort of any obligation to pay for. And last year we had over 900 schools participating just in Illinois alone, over 112,000 students, and 1,700 teachers using at least one of our Everfi courses. So let's dive into remote social emotional learning. These data points that are here, we pulled from a survey that we conducted with nearly 3,500 North American teachers from every grade level and every socioeconomic background. And we were asking them, what are the topics that are the most pressing for them that they see in their schools that are high needs basically for their population, their students. And we see that the top 3 are mental health, social media education, and cyberbullying. And nearly 100% felt that it was important to provide students education on those topics. But you can see what's really interesting here is that while 71% of those teachers said that they felt comfortable that they had enough resources to support students' physical health, less than half said that they felt comfortable having enough resources available to them to support students' emotional health. So as you can see, despite where we know the demands are, we still struggle with having the resources necessary to meet those demands. And this is all pre-remote learning as well. So, but the need definitely still stands. So supporting your students remotely. So what can we do in this really new and different context to help support students' social emotional learning? Even though we're not able to be physically there with our students, I still think that there are some small things that we can do to make sure that they're feeling supported emotionally. So I think the first thing we can do is really call it out, like the stress and anxiety that we are all feeling right now. I know I'm feeling it. I know, my husband's feeling it, all my coworkers, teachers, everyone is feeling it. And I don't think that that is unique to any age. I think we have to understand that students are feeling this stress as well. Kids are feeling it. Even my 2.5-year-olds are feeling it to a certain extent. They miss their grandma and grandpa. They don't understand why we can't go to the park. Like, it is a stressful time for everyone. And I think calling that out and just letting kids know that you're dealing with that too makes them feel less alone about it and maybe helps them put a name on their own anxiety and stress about what's happening. Try to stay connected and offer support. There are lots of different ways that you can do that. I have some suggestions that I'll hit on later on in the call. Try to provide structure and routine. We all know that breaking a routine is a really hard thing for a kid. It really can throw them off, and you can see other behaviors coming out sometimes when routines are broken. So try and create a new routine for them. Even if it's, you know, you're not going to be structuring their entire day, obviously, but if you can create some sort of, you know, tradition or routine or check-in time, something that gives them some structure, and then they know that they can count on seeing your face or reading your words at that time. And then the other thing that we can provide is direct instruction. And that's really what we're going to hit on today, is what it looks like to use these courses for social emotional learning with distance learning. So let me tell you a little bit about the resources we have available. So we have something basically for every age range. We have the Compassion Project for the younger kids. We've got Character Playbook and Honor Code for older kids, and Mental Wellness Basics as well. So I'll go into each one in a little bit more detail in a minute, but as you can see, we kind of cover all the bases. There is sort of a chunk of time in maybe upper elementary that we don't have a specific course, but I think that the Compassion Project can be used for that. And a lot of times, Character Playbook can be used as well. Pre-K through 2, I have an early literacy course that might be helpful for you, but we don't currently go down that to that grade level. That being said, my kids are actually watching the Compassion Project videos, and we're talking about compassion and empathy and kindness and things like that. So I think that it can be modified or to use as like supplemental learning for kids. And I'll give you a chance to preview all of this in a moment. So these courses are all broken down into lessons. They're usually between 10 and 20 minutes each. Every lesson follows this course module flow. So there's always a pre-assessment, introduction to new material, guided and independent practice, and then a post-assessment. The really cool thing is that those post-assessment scores actually populate directly into your teacher dashboard. So as students are going through the course at home, you're going to be able to monitor their progress and know how they're doing. You'll also be able to see their pre-assessment scores if you choose to as well. All right, so let me dig into the different courses that we have available. So as I said, the Compassion Project is for grades 2 through 4. Topics include compassion, mindfulness, empathy, growth mindset, and much more. So this is a unique course in that we designed it to be a truly blended learning experience. So there are 15 15 lessons total. 15 are offline, and then there are 3 online digital activities for kids. So there are 15 offline lessons that are paper-based and 3 digital lessons for kids that they would do on the computer. As a teacher, you can implement whatever you have time for. So if you don't want to send a whole huge like 15 lesson thing home to parents for them to execute, that's fine. You can pick and choose what makes sense for you. All right, let me give you a little look into what it looks like. So it's basically like a little, cartoon show. Kids love it. It's super engaging. These are the 3 digital activities that kids can complete. In each activity, they are going to watch a short video with characters, and then they're going to dig into the topic, whether that's defining and practicing compassion or learning mindfulness techniques to calm down when you're upset. And as I mentioned, we do have offline lessons for these as well. So this is a screenshot of just a partial lesson that I pulled so you can see what it looks like. And as you can see, it's completely built out with objectives, student materials, and even scripting for the teacher to follow. So we wanted to make it as robust as possible. And obviously, you're not going to be doing this whole class with your kids right now. But what I've seen is I've been going through the offline lessons, and a lot of them can be modified to be paper-based work. And we're actually working really hard. We have an entire team of schools managers working on all of our courses right now to have paper-based offline materials for you to be able to send home to your kids as well, because we know that not everybody is going to have access to technology in this time. All right, Character Playbook is our course for 7th through 9th grade. So I see this mostly in middle school, but sometimes in early high school as well. It focuses on building healthy relationships, managing emotions, effective communication, and conflict resolution. So these are 6 online lessons. They're about 20 to 25 minutes per lesson. Students complete them independently, and we've also developed companion offline lessons as well, if that's something you want to dig into and see if you can use for a paper-based activity. So here's a look at a scene from Character Playbook. As you can see, it has a different look and feel from the Compassion Project, and we do that because we want to make sure that we're hitting students at their developmental level and we're engaging them with the content. So this course is told through a graphic novel format. In each lesson, students are presented with the situation where something didn't go well between 2 characters, and they have to learn more about the topic and then go back in and help them fix the situation. So it's kind of like a guided choose your own adventure for students. Honor Code Bullying Prevention is our course for high school students. It says 8th through 10th grade, but again, I have definitely seen it used in 11th and 12th grade as well. It's 6 lessons long, and each lesson is about 10 to 15 minutes. So it helps students really reflect on their strengths and how to leverage those strengths to be a leader within their community, while recognizing that leadership looks very different depending on the kid. Not every kid is going to have the, the social status to be able to be, an upstander, but they can definitely support their community and make it a better place, no matter sort of where they are. The biggest focus of this course is creating a positive school climate. So the optional offline capstone project at the end of this is a call to action for students to create an anti-bullying or some other sort of initiative of their choice to help better their school community. So I know that we're not physically in school, obviously, but I really think that this call to action to build out a project like this to work on to better one's community right now could be a really interesting thing for students to work on at home. They have nothing but time to get creative about how to help their community, how to, thank first responders, how to, make sure that we're staying socially connected even while we're staying physically distant, things like that. Here's an activity from Honor Code. So as you can see, it's very scenario-based. We want to make sure that the content is taught in a relatable and real-world way for students to keep them engaged and to promote meaningful learning. And then finally, here's mental wellness basics. Again, the suggested age range for this is 8th through 10th grade, but I have seen it in 11th to 12th. I've even seen it in 7th grade. Our age range is based on Lexile level, but it really, it can go to a wider range of grades as well. So the introduction to this course tells students 3 things. It tells them you are not alone, you are enough, and you are worthy. And that really resonates with me because I feel like all of us could have benefited from hearing that as a teenager, maybe even as an adult, maybe even, especially in this particular time that we're in, we could all hear that every day and probably feel pretty good about that. So there are 4 15-minute lessons in this course, and it helps students understand what it means to be mentally healthy, how to cope with stress, and how to reach out when you think you might need help. Here's a look at one of the introductory activities within the course. Students are typing in their own phrases based on the prompt. It really encourages them to reflect on their own conceptions of mental wellness. And one of the main goals of the course is to reduce the stigma of mental illnesses. Students learn about how the brain functions and how that is related to your mental and physical well-being. And you also learn how to cope with challenges, what the different symptoms of most common mental disorders are, and again, how to seek treatment if necessary. So those are our courses that I pulled that are specifically related to social emotional learning, but there is, like I mentioned in the very beginning, a lot more that we offer. So you can look at these different sort of buckets that we have. We have things on financial education, on STEM and career exploration, on health and wellness, excuse me, diversity and inclusion, all kinds of stuff here. These are, again, all online lessons, so students are going through all of these independently. They do have supplemental offline lessons if you are wanting to do paper-based, and all of them have quizzes built in, like what I just described with these 4 social emotional learning courses, so you'll be able to monitor kids' progress as they go through it. Excuse me. All right. Any questions about the courses before I move on to the next topic? Pause briefly. All right. So I have put together what I'm calling your remote learning kit. And this is what you're gonna have sent to you after the webinar. So you will get a teacher registration guide that shows you how to create your account, a student registration handout, which you can send to kids to create their student accounts, an outline of courses by grade level. So we'll talk about all of those courses that I just showed on the previous slide and the topics that are covered and what grade level is suggested. A 2-week digital learning plan by grade level. So we built these out from kindergarten through 12th grade. It's not just social emotional learning, but it's basically a digital lesson every day. And like I mentioned, coming soon, we have paper-based send home activities that you'll be able to find. And if you want to bookmark everfi.com/remote learning, that's where we're going to put all the new activities that we're creating as we're sort of responding to this new time as you all are as well. So I don't have something for social emotional learning for the 5-6 grade gap. I have seen compassion used in 5th grade. I have seen character playbook used in 6th grade, but I probably wouldn't put compassion any older than 5th grade, and I probably wouldn't put character playbook any younger than 6th grade, if that makes sense. So I think that if you want to create an account and look at those 2 courses and kind of decide what's going to be best for your kids, that would probably be the recommended course of action there. Are any of the courses available in Spanish? Yes. Not all of our social emotional learning courses, but we have Vault is in Spanish, Future Smart is in Spanish, so those are financial education. Everfi Financial Literacy is in Spanish, that's financial education. Ignition Digital Citizenship is in Spanish, and I believe that is it right now, but I can follow up with you as well. There might be one more. All right. So let me go ahead and show you how to get started with these resources. So the first thing that you would do, and again, this is going to be in a handout that you're going to get, so don't worry about furiously taking notes or anything, really just stick with me so you can kind of see visually how it works. You'll go to everfi.com/new teacher. You enter your state, you start typing your school's name. If it doesn't come up immediately, try a couple different iterations of it. So if you are at Walter Cohen, high school, try W Cohen High School, stuff like that, just to make sure that it's popping up. You create your profile, and it's going to ask you to select a course. Just select whichever one you are most interested in, and I'll show you how to add more courses once you get into the account. And this is what the teacher dashboard looks like. So let me give you just a quick tour of this before I dig into some more remote learning best practices. So once you're in, there's that button that I've circled there that says add course. That's where you can look at our entire suite of curriculum and choose which ones you want to add to your dashboard. You can also get previews of the courses there. Once you have all the courses that you know you might want to use, the next thing you're going to want to do is create your classes. So if you click the green button that says create class, that brings you to this page. You would just fill out what you want to title the class, your estimated start date, estimated class size, grade level, and then you can add courses. So if you want to use more than one course, and you know that with your students, if you want to use both, character playbook and mental wellness basics, you can click this, you add whichever courses you want to students to have access to. Just click them, click add. And then basically you're going to have one course code that will add all of those courses to a student dashboard. Just a remote learning tip here, or really in general a tip, keep your class name short and sweet so that you know sort of what you're accessing. If you type too much in that course name, it might just get a little bit complicated for you. Can you add different students to different courses? Absolutely. You would just want to create a class code for whichever group of students that you want to have access. So let's say you have one group of students that you only want them to have character playbook. You would create a class with just character playbook added in there. And then if you wanted another group to have, honor code and mental wellness basics, you'd create a separate class for them. That generates your class code, as you can see right there. And that is how students are going to get registered onto their own accounts and be tied to your account. And a reminder, we're going to send you handouts with the information as well that you can send home to students, either digitally or paper-based. We'll be able to write in your class code and give it to them, and it'll be very visual, like step-by-step guide for them to create their own accounts. But here's what student registration looks like. They go to everfi.net and click register. They enter their course code that you created. Click next. Then they complete their student profile. So they put in their birthday, the username and password, and then they just click next, and then they're in. One tip, tell kids exactly what you want their username and password to be. So their usernames need to be unique within our system. So make sure that you're having them add maybe their student ID to the end of it. Maybe it's first name dot last name and their student IDs to make it unique. But their passwords can all be the same. So you can have it be Go Coyotes 2020 or something like that. You can have it be your last name 2020. That way you're not resetting passwords all day long. And as a note, once students complete the entire course, you can also send them or print for them a certificate, which they really enjoy. I tell the younger kids just go crazy over it, and then the older kids are like putting it on their resume and putting on their college applications and things like that as well. And then just a note on technology. The user experience is pretty identical on, in general, from tablet to desktop. So it works with all of those browsers that are listed there. I would say the best functionality is Chrome, but Firefox is great as well. Haven't had big problems with Safari. Some of our courses are okay on smartphones, but I would not say that across the board that they are. If you have questions about which ones you might be able to use via smartphone, our students might be able to access via smartphone, I can put you in contact with your local schools manager who is there to help you with implementation as well. All right, any questions about the teacher dashboard? No? All right. Remote learning, frequently asked questions. So as I'm doing this work with teachers, across Illinois, I'm getting a lot of questions, and I was able to connect with a couple teachers that typically do remote learning, that do distance learning already, and I asked them for their best practices, so I wanted to share those with you. So the crucial step to any instruction, as you know, whether it's remote or in class, is to set really clear expectations. The difference now is that you're doing that remotely, and you're likely doing it with parents as well as with students. So every school has a different system for how teachers and parents communicate. So whatever your method is, just make sure to prepare really clear expectations with parents around what is expected of their child, the time frame that they need to have that completed by, how to ask questions when they don't know what to do, and how to submit any deliverables to you, any work to you. Consider walking through how to create a student account or how to get logged into different programs, whether it's Everfi or another one, creating a video to show parents that, like Screencastify is a great way to do that. You can do that through a QuickTime video. You can do it through Google Hangouts as well, just like show the step-by-step of whatever online learning platform that you're asking parents to access with their kids. And your local schools manager can also help you with that if you're wanting to do that for Everfi. We have video available for certain things. If you can't make a video, make sure to send home really clear instructions for how to create student accounts for whatever online platform you're using. And it might also be helpful to create an FAQ document to send to parents that kind of goes in a little bit deeper on whatever plans that you're asking them to implement. So how do I get this information to students? Again, if your school has a method of communication in place, use that. If you can send registration information, class codes for Everfi, assign courses and deadlines. No need to sort of protect our privacy on that. Feel free to send whatever you need to kids and parents. If your school does not have a method of communication, consider setting up a Google Classroom. It's a really easy way to stay in contact and to post information online for kids to access. All right. How do I hold students accountable? I think this is a big thing, and I think it's going to continue to be an issue throughout the next couple of months. Again, Everfi has lessons built in. Quizzes built into the lesson, so you'll be able to see what students are doing, and you can assign grades if that's something that your school is doing based on that, or you can at least use that to sort of touch base with parents and let them know how their kids are doing. Make sure that you're setting really clear expectations for how often you'll be checking those. So maybe you're checking it every Monday and every Thursday kind of thing. Let parents know that that's when you'll be checking in and updating them on the grades. Again, set clear deadlines for completing the work. One suggestion that one of the teachers I spoke with had was to create a calendar or even a shared calendar with other teachers. If you're teaching in sort of a departmentalized setting, say like a 7th grade, where all the 7th grade teachers come together, have one calendar they can send home to parents. So it's just a little bit easier for those parents to execute that with their kids at home. And then the other big thing that one of my teachers told me was it's really important to review the deadlines and the expectations in each communication with the students and parents. So no matter if it's a one-off email, if it's a newsletter you're doing every week, if it's a video that you're recording and sending to people, or if it's you're hosting actual Zoom Hangouts for direct instruction with kids, make sure at the top of that you are always communicating, here's what you should be working on, here's when it's due, here are my expectations around it. So how can I offer ongoing support to students remotely? There are ways to be there for kids even if you can't be right in front of them. You could post a discussion board for students, even just using something as simple as a shared Google Doc. You can create office hours for where you're available for phone or video conferencing. I'm sure some of you have already thought about this, so if you have any awesome suggestions, type that into the chat as well. Again, you can offer a daily or weekly newsletter for families, but whatever you do, create the new normal for yourself and for your kids. Maintain connections and create a new routine for them that they can rely on and that you can rely on as well. All right. I just wanted to post this one more time so you can see everything that we offer. And I'll take any questions that you had about remote learning, any questions about Everfi, about the courses I talked about, or any of the courses that are on here that maybe I didn't mention. Love to hear your questions now. Or even your thoughts on implementing this. What are any barriers that you're thinking about? Anything like that. I thought we would have a lot more questions. Dawn, as a school counselor, you can share the, there are a couple ways that you could do it. I could connect you with your local schools manager, and they could maybe even host a hangout with teachers. They could all hop on at once and sort of go through a more in-depth teacher training, because normally when I train teachers, when I'm in front of them, I'll actually go through the whole dashboard and everything and how it works. I gave you guys sort of like the higher level of it, but I could connect you with your local schools manager on that. Or if you think that they're sort of tech savvy enough to get a sheet, a registration sheet and actually get on their own, you're more than welcome to forward that once it's sent to you after the webinar. Does honor code include cyberbullying too? Yes, and so does Character Playbook. Yep. The other thing that I would recommend as you're creating your teacher account, actually two things when you're thinking about implementing. When you are on your teacher dashboard, there's a button that says View Course, and that will allow you to see the course as a student would, which is a really nice way to just preview the lessons and see, A, is this appropriate for my kids developmentally, age appropriate, is it something that they're going to engage with, all of those things. You'll be able to really see what a student sees. And then the second thing I would recommend, on your teacher dashboard, there's a button that says Resources. That's where all those offline lessons I was talking about are housed, but it's also where there's a curriculum guide that goes really in depth on all the topics that are covered in each of these courses. Most of my students are special education in the area of autism. How can I adapt these lessons for them? So I would say I don't have a perfect answer for that, because I think every student is different and every student with an exceptionality is different, and you know your kids, like you're the expert on them. But I will say that I have a lot of teachers that are using, you know, maybe they're using the Compassion Project with a 7th grader, even though it's, you know, supposed to be for younger kids, because that's just where they are developmentally, and they're able to engage with that information. So I think that getting in there and sort of previewing the different lessons and seeing, you know, which ones would be right for your kids is what I would recommend. I would also just say that these can be, the scores that you get from the quizzes that they're taking can be really helpful with IEP goals, because I know that sometimes it can be difficult to sort of like put a marker on, you know, character education and things like that. Nice. Other questions for me? Any other questions on anything else that's on this page that I didn't talk about as well? No? Do people ever use these assessments in the grade book? Absolutely. People very often will use this as a grade book grade. Or a participation grade. So it really just depends on how it makes sense with your grade book system. But I definitely have teachers that use this all the time, especially when I get into sort of my financial literacy courses. It's definitely used in grade books, the quiz scores. It also, you can export your grade book, your Everfi grade book, as a CSV file if you want to, if that's helpful for you in inputting into your grade system. Yeah. All right. Let's see. So I mentioned that I'm a schools manager here in Illinois. This is your entire Illinois team. So we actually have 5 people working across the state. So you have someone on this you know, slide that is assigned to your school to support you and all the teachers at your school and students at your school in accessing this information. And they are all experts on, you know, implementing in a lot of different settings. They know your district. They have a deep understanding of the state standards that you guys are coming up against, and how they have a lot of information about how different courses are being used regionally. And they can offer dedicated training for, you know, one-on-ones, small groups, whatever makes sense, professional development for your teachers or yourself, or just extra, you know, sounding board to bounce ideas off of, anything like that. But they can also offer tech support and tech, help you solve tech problems as well. So if you are interested in connecting with one of these people, go ahead and contact me. Email is probably best. But I can figure out which one of those people is your main support for your district, and I can connect you with that person and make sure that you feel really good about implementing this in your classroom. And I'm just realizing that I meant to link IDEA's website here, so I'll go to the next slide, because I think that, Jenna, we have some upcoming webinars that you want to talk about as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren. That was fantastic information. I definitely see the value of implementing those resources, especially now, for everybody. So definitely awesome. I'm going to go through a few things, but if anybody has any additional questions, please go ahead and put those in the chat, and Lauren will definitely get back to you on those. But I just wanted to tell you about a few of our other upcoming webinars that you can take advantage of. I think all the ones I posted in here literally this week. So we've got so much going on right now. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. is our How Educators Can Inspire Girls to Pursue Technology, and that's with Partner Tech Girls. So they are going to be taking us through their virtual platform that you can use right now to add to your remote learning resources. And the next one is on Thursday, we have Newsella for distance learning. So another partner of ours, Newsella, is going to be showing us how to use their resources for distance learning. You can either register for these webinars using those bit.lys there, or if you just go to ideaillinois.org/calendar, it will take you to all of our offerings and you can register for anything and everything there. So definitely check those out. And then our last one, and I know El Leader, you were asking about special education. So Wednesday, tomorrow, we do have a webinar at 12:30 for online strategies for special education teachers. But if you wanted to do the Tech Girls one, or you just don't have 12:30, we're doing an encore for that one on Friday. And then Friday, actually, we have one right after another, 10, 11, 12, and 1 p.m. We have webinars for online strategies for special education teachers. Then you'll see strategies for speech, strategies for OT, and then strategies for school psych and mental health. And that's with Illuma. They do online therapy and have tons of resources. So they have partnered with us to bring you these resources this week. So definitely register and check those out. Each of those activities has a different registration. So go to that ideaillinois.org/calendars and you'll click on each one to register for each of those webinars. So definitely please check those out, and we'll be posting recordings for everything after the fact as well. So as Lauren said, and I think I typed in there and I said actually earlier, we did record today's session. So somebody asked about sharing this with their teacher team. Definitely the email that you get tomorrow morning, go ahead, share with your teacher team. It's going to have the recording. It's going to have the presentation. It's going to have the chat file and resources that Lauren was mentioning for the onboarding for teachers, onboarding for students, et cetera, et cetera. So all of that will be in that email. And please just share that out with whomever. And then the recording of this webinar, as well as everything else that we're doing right now, will be on our webinar page within our website. So there's just a whole slew of recordings of stuff, and definitely feel free to check those out. I am going to post right now in the chat window the link for, oops, I did it wrong, so hold on. Let me fix that. I had one extra bit.ly in there, so it doesn't link. There we go. And why is it not actually linking? That's a good question. But you can click, and we're going to try this one more time. Let me just try it separately. HTTPS, blah, 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 blah. I don't know why it's not actually giving you the link. So copy and paste that link into a URL bar, and that will give you your PDF. Mine clicked and worked. Oh, well then on mine,
yeah, it works for me too.
Showing the click. Okay, there you go. Perfect. So definitely go ahead, get your 1 hour PDH for today's session, and we will hang out for a few more minutes. So if you do have any additional questions, oh, I forgot one screen. Thank you. All of these resources and everything that we are doing right now for remote learning, we have a web page on our website. You can go to that bit.ly idea_home learning, and I'll throw that in here too. And that is where we are housing everything that we have for remote learning. We've been putting out, if you haven't seen it yet, as I spell this real quick, home learning, wrong dash, underscore. There we go. So we have been putting out a weekly calendar with one activity a day. So we've been focusing on a social emotional learning, and then the 4 C's. So Monday, social emotional, and then the 4 C's, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And feel free to use those activities with your students. There are online activities, there's offline activities. We've done a mix because we know that there's a mix of capabilities right now in terms of access and things like that. So each week we update it and we put out new resources. You can start back from the beginning. You can just keep up with the week that's current, but whatever, you will see 2 full calendars, well, 3 full calendars. We've got one for elementary, one for middle, and one for high school. And then we'll start the calendars all over again next week because we just issued our 4th week of it yesterday. So check that out as well. It's on that bit.ly Idea Home Learning page, and take a look at that and keep updated because we keep adding new things to it literally on a daily basis. So hopefully this helped everybody. Again, if you have any questions, please post them. Lauren and I will hang out for another minute or two. Otherwise, you're welcome to get 10 minutes back on the hour and go grab some quick lunch before you go on to your next activity, whatever that may be. So everybody stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy. And Lauren, thank you so much. This was fantastic. I look forward to more with you guys as our partnership continues. And please let us know if you guys have any questions. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And for everyone that attended.
Yay.